What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about it. And in this video, I want to let the public know about a police officer who was charged not only once, but twice with assault. This officer's name is Constable Evan Gorman of the Rama Police. In 2017, this officer was charged with assaulting, injuring, and hospitalizing an 11-year-old while visiting an elementary school. In 2013, this officer was charged again with assault for assaulting, injuring, and hospitalizing myself that was caught on surveillance. Why is this officer still on duty? This officer, what he did to this child in 2017 was vicious. This officer was visiting an elementary school and he was talking to a class, and one of the kids sprayed him with water, an 11-year-old, and he snapped. He went ballistic. He grabbed his kid off a medicine ball. He kicked this ball, put him like almost in a chokehold, and he dragged him out of the classroom, dragged him into the hallway, and then dragged him into the boys' washroom, where it is said on transcripts, and I'll share those transcripts with you guys because it goes into great detail, the injuries and the assault that this child took. So he dragged him into that bathroom, and he got very violent with this 11-year-old, and he slammed his head off of the washroom stall. And I believe most of these incidents, these assaults, were witnessed by adults, some teachers, a vice principal, and I don't think any of them testified before his charges were dropped in 2019. It's very disturbing what he did to that child and how he got away with it. There was two news articles, one was CBC and one was CTV that were online. I'll share that with you guys, where the mother of the child was obviously very upset what this officer did. And ultimately, this officer's charges got dropped before Justice Victor Giaugas on May 16th, 2019. The Crown Attorney that day was Peter Bristol, and it didn't seem like there was much of a fight. When you read those transcripts, it seemed very odd considering what this officer did to the child. I found out later on, 7 months after this court hearing, that this Crown Attorney became a judge. And I just don't know, how does this officer get off on these charges? Why wouldn't a judge charge him with assault? When an officer is charged with viciously beating a child, assaulting, injuring, and hospitalizing that child, he gave this child a head concussion. All these things he did to me as well, which I'll get into. So I think it's very disturbing what happened with that case and why he got off. In December 2022, while at Casino Rama, I was trying to leave. This young security guard, Hayden Kennedy, he attacked me. He injured me. He handcuffed me and waited for the Rama police. And this is where I first met Evan Gorman. And this is when this officer decided to hogtie me. I already had a bad head injury from this security guard. My wrist, my elbow were trashed. He decides to put the handcuffs on my ankles. I think it was two handcuffs. He put together, and it had my ankles on. So this officer definitely used excessive force that night. And he dragged me out of a casino, him and another officer. I could not walk, see, or breathe. I had this officer yelling at me to stop resisting. He decided to make a bold move and straight up lie and say I bit him. And that's when you can see on surveillance, which I believe the Crown Attorney is withholding, and the casino's withholding. I would really love the public to see that surveillance and what they did to me. Mind you, it was just it was very selective angles. There's a lot of missing angles. I believe they carefully selected that surveillance to try to justify what they did to me. But ultimately, Evan Gorman drove my head into the concrete on surveillance while I was hogtied, blindfolded. I couldn't walk, see, or breathe. And if that wasn't bad enough, this officer injured me during transportation, left me hogtied, no seatbelt on, no camera on. And when I asked him politely to loosen the handcuffs, that's when he sped 20 to 30 kilometers faster, slammed on the brakes, my head hit the glass divider, knocking me unconscious briefly. There's a lot of other things that this officer did. In my opinion, he's a disgraced police officer. He should be removed from the RAM of police, and Canadian taxpayers should stop fronting his salary. So I went to go lay a private prosecution against this officer, Evan Gorman, and the security guard, Hayden Kennedy. That information was ultimately accepted by a justice of the peace. But let me tell you, the Crown Attorney sitting in that day, Jennifer Armanese, this lady, this Crown Attorney, she was fighting tooth and nail for these two. She was straight up, she was talking shit about me. She made all these comments. She was running me down. At one point, she brought up to the Justice of the Peace, oh, Mr. Dobson has a criminal record. So does that justify me taking the beating I took, the excessive force that was taken? Does that justify my head getting driven into the concrete? Because I'm a criminal, is that okay to like have me flying around in the back seat of that cruiser that no one wants to talk about, that the police chief, when I filed the complaint, refused to comment about, because they just want to keep this swept under a rug and they don't want the public to know this. So after dealing with that nightmare going against Jennifer Armanese there, this Justice of the Peace accepted the information. And that's when they assigned the assault charges to Crown Attorney Frank Giordano from the Newmarket Crown's office. You know, this is a Crown of 30 plus years. 1992, you know, he's 33 years Crown Attorney. They assigned the most senior Crown Attorney to this case because if I were to guess, they were hoping his seniority would persuade a judge to dismiss the charges. This Crown Attorney ignored my emails, never spoke to me. There was 2 appearances. On that second appearance, the charges were dismissed. And that was on May 30th, 2023, and then on June 20th, 2023 as well. This Crown Attorney acted as counsel. He acted, when I read that, never communicated with me, never looked out for my interest. This is in the public's best interest to have this child-beating cop, to have him charged. But you know what? This Crown Attorney's fought for him. And there's a problem with these private prosecutions and these Crown Attorneys and these little circles of them doing this, you know, protecting officers like they did in my situation. I noticed too also that Hayden Kennedy had a lawyer, and that was Ted Yanoyu. And I always wondered, did Hayden Kennedy actually retain this lawyer? Did he pay anything out of pocket? Who retained this lawyer? Because if I were to guess, my guess would be that the Crown Attorney's office asked this lawyer for a favor. And that's just my guess. You know, because it's just very suspicious. You know, so here you got Mr. Frank Giordano acting as counsel, it looked like, reading the transcripts. You know, did this Crown Attorney not know that Constable Evan Gorman was dragged through court for almost 2 years for viciously beating, assaulting, and injuring and hospitalizing a child? Why is this Crown Attorney protecting this officer? You know why? Because of what they did to me and the criminal charges I had before the court before they got stayed. Okay? My charter rights were seriously violated. There was multiple charter rights violated. And you know what? I'm doing this video because I want the public to know about this police officer. And, you know, why is he still on duty? Was he ever disciplined? Why are the Canadian taxpayers still fronting the bill for police officers who engage in police brutality? My personal experience with Evan Gorman, he's temperamental, he's violent, he lies, he manipulates. When I was in that hospital, the Orillia Soldiers Memorial Hospital, when he was barging in different rooms there with the doctor and manipulating events that never happened because he was scared, because he knows, because I was badly beat up by this officer, I think it's, like I said, it's in the public's best interest to know this. And, I just can't believe it. Like, this officer got charged with assaulting a child. This officer was seen on surveillance. He hogtied me. He dragged me out of a casino. He was yelling at me to stop resisting when I couldn't walk, see, or breathe. So, that's the video. That is a little bit of information about this officer. I noticed in some pictures, they looks like they try to clean up his image. He's playing basketball with kids on the Facebook website there. Those kids look scared shitless. They try to make this officer look like a hero. He's far from it. He's poor representation of any police officer out there. And I really wish the Rama police would open up their eyes and apologize to me what they put me through. And it's not right. And if this officer did this to me, how many people out there did this officer do this to? How many people out there else have experienced police brutality? Enough is enough. And I just want to let the public know that. So thank you guys for watching. This has been another video from Let's Talk About It. And, if this is the content you guys like, then please let me know. I will be doing a follow-up video pertaining to this. And I just want to say, thank you guys for watching.